Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for introducing us. I feel like I can't be any more appropriate as we call him the mayor of Oak Cliff, and we love you so much. A funny thing about our journey is we were still working at our previous job when we would go to Taco Semino all the time, and we ended up working with Jimmy and Holly. And through working with them, we had so much fun that we're like, we need to quit our jobs and do this and work with community. So that's kind of how it all started, and here we are today. So that's a perfect introduction.
Yeah, but thank you so much, Jimmy, and thank you, Doug and Grant and Savannah for this opportunity. We love being a part of this community. We always come to these Texas talks and get so inspired. So we're happy to be here today. So we're going to jump in, and we wanted to start with our company name, Create Atelier. So I think a lot of people wonder where this came from. So Alexa and I used to meet and talk during weekends, go to coffee shops and just talk about what we believe in and what our ideals are. And when we came up with the name Create Atelier, we knew that was the one. So over the past 3 years, we've heard a lot of different pronunciations of the name. And over the past week, we've taken a recording and we wanted to share that with you all.
Create Atelier?
Atelier.
Create Atelier.
Atelier.
Create 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 Atelier.
So obviously we've thought about changing our name. But so the atelier means so much to us, and what it means to us is the group of people, the makers and creators that work together to create a special building. So it takes so many people. It takes developers, architects, interior designers, graphic designers, contractors, specialty workers to work through these challenging moments throughout a project to create something special.
And this is our atelier. We're here standing before you today, but our awesome team is here. Joha, Juan, Aaron, Ramon, and so many others that are such a big part of what we do, and we just love them like family. And I'm sorry to say our dog Hampton couldn't make it. He was so tired from practicing the speech last night. So everybody can recognize this awesome place. And a cool thing is, you can't see it very well, but Josh is over there chugging down a taco, which is how 80% of our pictures go. He's always eating. But when he's not, we're having very passionate conversations over design, architecture, our goals, dreams, and passions. And we just have so much to say and are protectively talking about what we believe in, which is literally the exact same thing, but it's just so much more exciting when you're debating. So when the time came to speak at the Texas Talk, we just looked at each other and said, what are we gonna talk about? So we decided to go back to the essentials, and David Street Espresso was our spot, start thinking about all the things that inspire us, and we're excited to share some of those with you today. So the way that we structured our talk is we're gonna be talking about why we do what we do every day, and how we do it, which is through our community and team. So let's start with our why, which we call changing our world. In order to understand where we are today, let's take a couple steps back and see how far we've came as a community. We started in tribal times where our focus was put merely on survival. Then the community became nomadic, where we started forming communities and clusters. Later on came the industrialization times, where efficiency and management became obviously the first priority. Then came transient times, where people started focusing on their jobs and they became super important. But we believe that today we are at a very different stage, a socially redefined stage in which community and purpose matter in the long run. And we call this the connection economy. At that point that efficiency and commercialization took like the front step, we believe that design kind of had to take that back seat. And this created a big disconnect between the users and the makers. So what we want to do is take a couple steps back and go back to the times where people did what they did because they loved it, and they did it to enrich their communities.
So we've decided to devote our life to the pursuit of human vitality through thoughtful design. And what that means to us is on every project we want to create moments and create designs that connect to the sensibilities and senses of the residents and occupants of the space. And every time we create a space, we question, does the space give the energy that we want to give to the people in the space? So that is the vitality of architecture. So vitality means the power of giving continuance of life. A lot of times we use this word, but not often do we think about this word in terms of architecture.
So what this also means to us is that rather than thinking, oh my God, the world is so crazy and we can't make a difference and we can't really change anything, we decided that our approach is going to be that we're going to focus on our world and making it better. And what this means for us as designers and architects is that we're going to sculpt every project uniquely for its users, that space is going to speak to them and it's going to touch their heart and souls and elevate their living. And one project at a time, we can make a happier world. And basically, as it says up there, we want to make it cool to care again. And why is this important? Well, it's not only important because I love design, it's important because we spend 93% of our times in the built environment. So this is a lot of time we're spending within architecture. So we believe this space must be of vitality. And Yoha over there made this very cool video here. Thank you. It reminds me what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, so a lot of times we think about our health in terms of how healthy we eat or how much we work out, but not often do we think about the space that we're in and how that contributes to our health. So we want to talk about our what, and this is how we live every day, what we do every day to accomplish the why. So we're going to talk about this in 3 phases. We're going to talk about intentional spaces, addressing the housing problem, and the psychology of architecture.
So everybody knows January 1st, you see a wave of change around the world. People are joining the gym, book clubs, starting new programs, doing all sorts of things, which we all do. I wish us all the best on those diets. But what if I told you that the biggest generator of change is our environment? One of our favorite authors, Benjamin Hardy, says the future of self-help will not be focused on the self, but rather the environment that shapes the self. And this makes a lot of sense, right? We gravitate naturally to certain coffee shops, certain homes, certain friends' houses, certain stores, certain co-work spaces, right? If you are like me, you did a lot of research on which co-work space you would join, and you chose this one because it has a beautiful environment, and with beautiful environment comes wonderful people, with wonderful people comes wonderful service. Things are cohesive, and that's the way things work.
So what if we told you that 25% of homes are designed by architects? That means the remaining 75% are designed by people who don't have a background in design. So over the past years, the residential market has moved further and further away from the city. Homes have become larger and larger, and in doing so, it has become more about the profit that somebody's going to make off the property rather than the quality of the project. So that also impacted the quality of the space that we live in. And it makes sense, right? Because a lot of people say like architecture and architectural design is not attainable for most people, right? So what we'd like to propose a change. And the change that we would like to propose is let's live in smaller, more intentional spaces. And we're not saying that those spaces are going to cost less per square foot. They're actually going to cost the same, but the overall project cost is going to be less, which makes it more attainable.
So intentional spaces, diving into the quality versus quantity. Like Josh was saying, we get to focus our budget on smaller spaces for higher quality. And then something fun is that we actually had to live in a 400 square foot space for about 5 months last year. And during this time, we learned a lot of cool things. Obviously, we kind of perfected the floor plan and what we could do to make it more efficient. But we learned that when you live in efficiency, you buy less things. You buy less clutter. Your Amazon Prime misses you a lot. But you become more thoughtful, and you don't want to buy a lot of, disposable things. You actually want to go to the store where people are making the artisanal things, and you want to buy 4 of them, and you want to showcase them on your shelf. So I just believe that it makes you more thoughtful. And as well, one of the other things is it really does strengthen your relationships, because you very quickly find out if you like the people you're hanging out with, because you're kind of stuck together in a small space.
So recently we've been pursuing a lot of these projects that are smaller, and this project is here and located in Oak Cliff. on Windermere over near Davis Street. So this is a garage. So the first day that we went to the project, this is what we saw, the existing building. The building has good bones, but it's ready for a new life. So we were asked to convert this into a living space. When approaching these spaces, we like to think about it in a new way. So we've created these open spaces. This space actually has a 14-foot by 11-foot living room and a 14-foot by 11-foot bedroom. So very, very usable space. We also like to think about it creatively. So we were thinking, what if we create this wall that rotates so it pivots? You can have a TV and a fireplace in the living room. You can also rotate it to have the TV and fireplace in the bedroom. And then while designing these spaces as well, we have budget in mind. So the reason why we have a lot of exposed material, raw concrete, we also expose the existing structure in the space. It's not only because of the budget, but it's also because of the way this makes us feel. And in laying out the space, we only use 4 windows in the space, and every window is intentional. So it's intentional to the function of that space and the way that people are within that space. So in the bedroom, there's a low window where it allows light in, but it also allows privacy within that space. In the kitchen, there's a tall window because you're going to be standing in that space. So this is the exterior of the building. We use the same brick that's on the house to connect it to the house, but did it in a modern way. And we like to be very intentional about the relationship of the architecture to the landscape. This is another project over in East Dallas near White Rock Lake. This was what we saw on the first day when we went to the property, and our client said, is there any saving of this garage? Is there any use for it? Is there anything we could do with it, or should we tear it down? And Alexa and I looked at each other and we said, this thing could be incredible. We can make something with it. So this is the project in the end. It's actually a duplex, and we did the garage in the back. So what we're going to be focused on today is the garage behind the house. This is the final product. So this is a 20-foot by 20-foot, 400 square foot house. And as we move to the interior, we also, very similar to the previous project, use raw materials. We like to strip away some of the things that are typically in the building. So we stripped away the drywall that was on the ceiling, exposed the wood, and made the space feel really good, made it a larger volume. So a lot of times when you think about a 400 square foot space, you think, oh, maybe I'm not going to have all the space that I need, but we were actually able to create a reading nook as well within the space. So if you look up above that fireplace, there's a reading nook up there, and there's a sliding ladder that comes over. So you have special spaces even within this small 400 square foot footprint.
This is another one called Greenleaf, and I really love this one. It's 350 square feet, and it's a new build. And I think it's very special because it has a lot of those elements that we can uncover from the remodels, where we're stripping down drywall and finding beautiful shiplap. Well, in this case, we ended up using the structure of the roof and just exposing it because we really appreciate the layering, and exposed the electrical conduit as well. It just made it about the purity of the structure. And it has that same aesthetic, has the concrete floors and the beautiful wood. And of course it has beautiful mural. That's the perfect touch to start bringing in all the materials and tying it all together. So Jacob here put this together yesterday. Thank you, Jacob. Jacob has very good taste in music. I appreciate that.
So something interesting, we came across this article recently in the Advocate that I believe it came out last month. There are a few city council members, including Chad West, who are pushing for smaller lot square footages, the minimum. So within Oak Cliff right now, the minimum is between 5,000 and 7,500 square feet, and they're pushing for 1,500 square foot for the minimum lot size. So we feel like this will do a lot for the city and also for the housing problems that we're having.
So let's take this concept a little bit further, the living intentionally in smaller spaces. And something that we believe in as well is using a home as a generator of community to create experiences and to create value. So this is something that we did with the case study, which is our home. And we're about to show you a picture, which is the first picture I took of the house. And this is right after I, told my mom, we found the one, this is perfect, wait till you see it. And she did not agree that much, but we thought it was a jewel. I mean, look at the jungle. It feels like I'm back in Nicaragua, and we just felt like it was perfect. And it was actually perfect for the use because it was a duplex. So we thought we can do this concept, have the multiple units. So we got started, we got to work and started cleaning it up. And once we removed all the bushes, God, we realized it's uglier than we thought. Behind all those bushes was just so much algae, and it was, oh my God, I needed a lot of work. But we started putting agaves. We're ambitious. We weren't done, but we believe in doing some hard parts and some fun parts too. And because we had a budget, we decided that there would be one cool spot, and we'd use that material that we really wanted. So in the garage area, we did the raw stucco finish, which we love because it's natural and it's earthy, and you can start seeing the progression of the home and how we started landscaping it. And this is what it looks like today. And we really appreciate the rawness of the materials. We like that they change with time. We like that they show their age and they have a lot of personality. And it's kind of like the seasons. You get to enjoy them and see how they transform. And it's very real. And for some reason, it just makes you feel very grounded.
So as Alexa mentioned, we were fortunate when we bought this house because it's a duplex, and we were able to divide it up into a few different units. So as you can see on the left side, this is the unit that's above the garage. So this one's 400 square feet. So similar to the other projects that we're looking at, this is about 20 foot by 20 foot, and we call this unit Sage and Light. In the middle, this is actually where we live. So this is 850 square feet, 2 bedrooms with a large living room and kitchen. And we call this one Forest Wood. The unit on the right, we call this one Bamboo and Linen. And this is 350 square feet. So this is the smallest unit of all of them. But all of these units have exterior access and private entries. And we want to show you some of the final product pictures.
Yeah, so these are some of the pictures. As you might know, this specific unit, we use it as an Airbnb. So we love that it is it helps us generate income. And we chose Airbnb because we love hosting and we love experiences. And we used to always travel to Austin to just get some fresh air at San Jose Hotel. So when we saw this jungle, we're like, this has San Jose potential. Let's create that experience for other people. So we really had a lot of fun with it. But I think like having people as tenants, like living with friends, all those concepts are things that I really think are the future, because I believe in density and in being together, and together is better. But here you can see some of the layering and the materials, and we use a lot of plywood, and we expose the original members, use a lot of concrete, and kind of just use those neutral palettes. Lots of real plants. We don't do fake plants. And I work really hard because I have to go through all the units to make sure nothing's dead.
That's right.
That's my pride. Yeah.
Yeah, so here on this image, on the right, this is a headboard that we did, and Bamboo and Linen actually, I worked on this project. So we've been working on blending branding and graphics with design, and we feel like this one turned out really well and melded really well with the space. This is the middle unit. This is where we're living right now. So this house, in a way, has been like an experiment for us, kind of testing those ideas about feeling and how you feel in the space and what the psychology of the space is. So we've been fortunate to live in this space, and when we come home from a long day, we really feel like we get rejuvenated from the space. And it's about the raw materials, the materiality of the space, and the connection to nature. Oh, another thing about this house, the windows that you see on the right, We found those in an estate sale. So we were in a home that was being torn down, and the windows were for sale that day. And when we bought the windows, we didn't know where they were going to go. But so we kept them for about a year and before we bought this house, and they fit perfectly. You know, it was like it was meant to be.
That was a lot of windows too. It was 40 windows. And I remember when we got them, we paid and we're like so excited. And then after we paid, they're like, so how are you going to take them off the house? And we were like, what? We had no idea we had that big job. But at that point, we were committed. And it's so cool because this house obviously has 3 units, but we've been able to place each one. And it just seems like it was made for it.
So now we want to talk about the psychology of architecture. So in any building that we're in or any space that we're in, it makes us feel something. We feel like the difference between a building and architecture is architecture intentionally makes you feel something. So as we design a space, on the left side you see a color wheel, and any color that we use in the space evokes a feeling. So a lot of times in our space we use these materials of raw steel, raw wood, raw concrete, real plants, and it's almost as if we're painting the space to evoke a certain feeling within that space. So I began in architecture 15 years ago. This is a building I designed in 2013. Back during that time, what was important was the designing something that was perceived in an artistic way. So this was actually the first. So when you see this building, it looks like a stealth fighter landed out in the middle of a field in Allen, Texas. Like it looks like a crazy sculpture, right? But it actually has a deeper meaning. So the meaning behind this building is about the healing process. So on the exterior of the building, it's very hard and sharp. But as you enter the building, it's very soft and filled with natural light. So this was the first time we began to explore this approach about how does a person feel, how does it make them feel in the space. We were also fortunate to work on the Virgin Hotel in Dallas. During that time, we visited Chicago and we were able to visit their hotel. Virgin Hotels does beautiful projects, beautiful hotels. After we left that space in Chicago, we were talking about it, and we were able to visit the offices in the hotel, and the offices had no windows. So what we learned from that and what we came away with was how can we do this better? You know, that's not the best environment for people to work in. So we kind of take that with us and want to do better on every project.
So this place has windows, so this is awesome. And this is a really special project that we're working on with our client that's actually here, Monty. And we love this project because I feel like working with somebody that cares as much about the person who's going to be renting the biggest office to the person who's going to be cleaning the space and preparing it for next day. That's the type of person that we like to work with because it aligns with our thoughts of designing for vitality. So in designing a space like this, we feel like people are going to be inspired and do good work and create community, kind of like this space. So we're using a lot of natural raw materials like plywood and concrete and steel, because you know that's our color deck is very limited. Raw concrete, raw steel, all the raw things. But it's going to be really beautiful, and it's going to be there's going to be opportunities for artistic expressions and creating branded tiles. And we can't wait to see it come together. This is the video of a couple of days ago. It's coming to light. We call it the Porcupine Conference Room. And a lot of people were like, no, that's not going to be built. But that's the thing about them. They make it happen. They make it all happen.
So on this next slide, a lot of times in architecture, we want to get that final image. We want to get that beautiful image to share with the world. But what we really like is what this client sent us was how they felt in the space.
So if we're working together at the end of the project, please send us this type of picture. No, just kidding. I love getting images like this. Actually, we've started thinking about, I don't really want to photograph the final space. I want the people that are part of it to be in it, and I want them to be cooking and just doing what they love or whatever that is. So this is going to be the beginning of that, of showing the people behind it, and they, you know, make the project so special. So the last chapter of this talk is going to be how, and we call it the magic of serendipity, how we do what we do. So the magic of serendipity is just something kind of mystical and magical and spiritual, and you don't really know how it happens, and you could decide to think it's pure coincidence, but we decide to think that everything is happening for a reason, and that's how we felt like our journey has gone. So tend to your farm, a very awesome quote that we learned from one of our clients, and it totally resonates with us because we feel like ever since that moment we work with Jimmy and Holly, we're like, we must work with a community. It's a completely different feeling. You know, we worked on so many great and high-end projects, but never being connected with the end user. And we decided moving forward, we want to work with that person and we want to have kind of bridge that disconnect that happens. So obviously Oak Cliff is that place that we love, and this is where we want to grow. This is where we love working with people. When people approach us from here, we're like, yes, absolutely, let's schedule a call. So after graduating from architecture school in 2017, I moved to downtown Dallas, and a couple of months after, I needed to do some prints. So I drove to Jefferson Street to go to Oak Cliff Print because I refused to go to FedEx or Kinko's. And when I got there, I was like, man, this place is awesome. There's so much culture. Look at the street. I have to live here. So a year after, I bought my first home in Elmwood, and I think I have very good taste. I chose the perfect place. And taking us a year after, one day, Josh and I were exploring on Tyler Station. This is when we were still working at 5G Studio, and we found the most beautiful coffee shop. And we're like, we must go in there and drink espressos. So we walk in so confidently, and then Grant stops us and he's like, oh no, it's not a coffee shop, but I can give you a tour. And so we went around and it was just so lovely. We fell in love and we just said, you know, when we start our company, this is gonna be our space. So the magic of serendipity hits again. And then a year after, here we were, and we were starting in our smaller office, and I'm just really glad that Doug and Grant aren't here today because they don't have to find out that it was us that ripped out that blue wallpaper day one. But, you know, suddenly our team started to grow so organically, and Juan came along, and then we came to our new space, which we love. It has so much natural light. And suddenly this place became a space where we could form community and meet friends and meet clients and do Friendsgiving. And it's just truly so special. So this is how the coffee shop became our home.
It's beautiful. Now I'm going to say my side of the story. This is, as Alexa mentioned, before we started our company, we worked at a company called 5G Studio. 5G Studio is known for pushing the normal and doing buildings that are award-winning and unique. After working there for 13 years, I found myself lost in work. And Alexa came along, and she's a glow of light. And she was on a mission to change the culture of the place. So she would do food drives. She would create bowling events. She would create a lunch club where different people would cook. And this is really what we all need. It makes work more than work, and that's all what we need as people.
So, actually, this is a good moment. I was living in an apartment right in front of this building, and this was my view. I had a corner unit, and I remember looking into this building while he was working there and thinking, man, I wonder what they do. It's so beautiful. And there was this guy that was always there, and I swear this is 100%. And sometimes I don't even know who. I'd come back from a date from the movies and I'd be like, I wonder if that poor guy is there. And if you look at this beautiful picture, you're gonna see.
Yeah, so this building was actually our office building, and on the day that the photographer came, I was there. But in that moment, I think I felt as blurry as this image looks. But what we wanted to create with our office is a space that inspires people to be themselves, a place that inspires people to be open and also challenges them with the projects that we work on. We like to think about things differently and brainstorm with each other, put our egos aside, and in that way, we're able to come up with things that we never would have alone.
All right. right then, this is the last act of serendipity. But I hope by the end of this, everybody's going to be thinking about serendipity and find it everywhere. So we were coming back from Oklahoma City from Thanksgiving, and we were listening to a podcast because that's what nerds do on their day off. And I heard this lady say that one Clydesdale horse pulls 8,000 pounds, but that three Clydesdale horses, no, sorry, two. Two of them pulled 24,000 pounds. And I was like, oh, did I do my math wrong? But then we both looked at each other and we said, oh my God, this is amazing. It's because it like really transcends the physicality. It's about the heart, and it's about what you can do together as a team is so much further. And this is truly something that we believe in, and that together is better. So if 1 + 1 = 3, this is what our Create Atelier has done in the last 3 years. Thank you, team. Thank you, clients.